Today on the newscast, with the world's attention focused on Ukraine, Russian and Syrian fighter jets patrol near Israel's Golan Heights. Plus, another Houthi missile attack against the UAE. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast and welcome to our brand new Watchman set. We are taking things to another level here on the Watchman Newscast for such a time as this. So much going on right now. The word for 2022 is acceleration, and we are seeing exactly that right now in some very important hotspots, global hotspots. Russia and Ukraine, of course, we've got some breaking updates there. China and Taiwan, and of course the Iranian regime continues its march across the Middle East. But first, as the world's attention is focused, rightly so, on Ukraine, while we have 100,000 at least Russian troops massed on the Russian border with Ukraine, Russia also conducted a very interesting maneuver this weekend along with Syria. Russian and Syrian military jets patrolled all along Syria's borders, including Syria's border with Israel. I am talking about the Golan Heights. Now, Russia's Interfax news agency reports that Russia wants to make these patrols a regular thing. Russia and Syria side by side patrolling Syria's borders. Obviously, this has a huge impact for Israel and its freedom to maneuver inside Syria. As we have detailed for you many times here on the newscast, Israel on a regular basis is conducting airstrikes against Iranian and Hezbollah assets inside Syria. Back in late October, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett traveled to Russia to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and reportedly the meeting went very well and the two leaders came to an understanding where Russia basically said, or Vladimir Putin basically said to Naftali Bennett, you have to give us ample heads up if you are going to conduct any strikes inside Syria. We know that at least. And since that meeting, things have seemed to go pretty smoothly. Israel has continued to carry out airstrikes inside Syria, even two strikes recently at the Latakia port on the Mediterranean, where Russian troops are stationed not that far away from that port. So some sort of understanding seems to have been reached in that meeting in Russia back in October. But now we have Russian and Syrian jets patrolling near Israel's Golan Heights, including fighter jets. So the question for Russia is, what's it going to be? There seems to be, again, this understanding with Israel, allowing Israel to maneuver inside Syria without any kind of Russian response. Remember, Russian troops, again, are present in Syria. They have been there since September 2015, helping Bashar al-Assad, that ally of Russia, prevail in the bloody Syrian civil war. And Russian troops are there to stay. As we see right now with Ukraine and Eastern Europe, Vladimir Putin wants to project Russian power and basically revive the old Soviet empire and Russian standing and influence in the world. And when you want influence in the world, it seems that the world's most pivotal and strategic region, the Middle East, is one place where you certainly do it. So don't expect Russia to pack up its bags and head home anytime soon. Russian troops are in the Middle East to stay there in Syria. But what does this mean for Israel? There has to be an uneasy feeling right now in Jerusalem to see Russian fighter jets patrolling near the Golan Heights alongside fighter jets from a sworn enemy of the state of Israel, Syria. Not only that, you have Russian troops on the ground inside Syria, side to side with Iranian and Hezbollah terrorist fighters, all, again, sworn enemies of the Jewish state. So while there may be this understanding in the short term, folks, my concern moving ahead is that eventually Russia will say to Israel, our patience has run out. No more. You can no longer maneuver inside Syria. And that gives Iran, obviously, a free path to conduct strikes against Israel from Syria. If Israel doesn't have the freedom of movement to preemptively take out those Iranian weapon shipments inside Syria, in particular those precision-guided munitions, then you have a very dangerous, untenable situation for Israel. It's a non-starter. Israel must be able to operate freely in Syria, but it becomes much more difficult when you have that Russian powerhouse basically breathing down your neck in Syria when you're trying to operate there. So we will continue to keep a very close eye on this. Of course, prophetic implications as well. You think of the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39. Many believe that Russia, along with Iran and Turkey, is at the head of that invasion force that the Bible says, quote, will come in the latter days. We have Russia on the mountains, very close to the mountains of Israel right now as we speak. The good news is the Bible says that invasion force will come to its end on the mountains of Israel. They don't get very far, but we're watching a very close eye anytime we have Russia-Israel relations. It will also be fascinating to see how Israel responds to the Ukraine crisis. Right now, NATO and the United States are taking a more firm stance as, again, Vladimir Putin, it looks like an invasion is imminent. Now, the United States is talking about sending 5,000 soldiers to Eastern Europe. NATO is ramping up its assistance to the nations of Eastern Europe as well, to the Baltic states in particular. So, folks, this is a powder keg, and things could escalate here very, very quickly. Last thing to update you on, last week here in the newscast, you can check it out in our archives. While you're there, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We told you about the Houthi Rebels, the Iran-backed Houthi Rebels of Yemen, launching ballistic missiles and attack drones at Abu Dhabi, the capital city of the United Arab Emirates. Now, 3 people were killed in that attack last week, which targeted oil facilities in the UAE. Talk about what happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East. Well, if there's a major strike on oil and gas in the Middle East, all of us will feel that no matter where we live. Thankfully, this latest attack, 2 ballistic missiles, today, Monday, January 24th, were shot down by air defenses in the United Arab Emirates. At the same time, the Houthis launched missiles towards Saudi Arabia as well. So that is another hot spot, another conflict zone that is heating up. The Houthis in Yemen against essentially the Sunni Arab Gulf states led by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. And the hidden, not so hidden hand behind all of it is the Iranian regime, the head of the snake, backing not only the Houthis, arming, training, supplying them, but also Hamas and Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, those Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. Again, the head of the snake resides in the form of the Iranian regime. Hey, folks, keep all of this in your prayer. Things are unfolding very rapidly, to say the least, and if anything happens, we will come to you with breaking updates right here on our channel here at the Watchman Newscast. So keep it right here. Until tomorrow, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.